Hello and welcome back to the Leinster Listen. I'm your host Michael Annan and this is episode 25, the review of Ireland versus France in the opening round of the Six Nations. This episode's content will be the overall opinion of the game, the analysis of the game events, Six Nations positionings after this weekend, and then the discussion section on no plan B. Right, so let's just go with the score. First off, in my prediction. Yeah, right. Will I say the line again? I suppose I will. Thank God I'm not a betting man, and I didn't put the house on it. Look, my prediction was 14-19 to Ireland, so yeah, completely off the mark there. I think I got the 14 right, but unfortunately that was to Ireland, and the actual score there was 36-14 to France. Yeah, look, the bookies obviously seem to know how to call it these days. They had a plus 14 at 10 to 11 on, and we still would have lost even with that plus 14. I think the 14 scoreboard that we did get also didn't reflect the baiting that we received as well. So look, an overall opinion there, it was a disaster. It was mostly a complete collapse in most areas of the game. Our scrum, I think, was the only thing that held together. It was a very good strong point, and yet it didn't actually get us anywhere in terms of attack play. It was like a car crash in slow motion, really. It wasn't great. I think my head was in my hands pretty much the entire game. And look, we kicked away any chance we got when we got into an attacking position. We were missing tackles everywhere in defence. We made pretty much no clean breaks. Yeah, look, it was a painful watch, a very painful start to the Six Nations, and not something that we wanted to see. Probably something that we did expect, but I tried to keep a positive spin on it. I tried to keep a silver lining in that cloud, but no, it was bad, lads. It wasn't great. But look, we'll all be miserable together. That's the main thing. Yeah, look, let's go into some of the actual aspects of the game there. Scrums, yeah, look, largely neutral. As I said, the lads came out, did their job, fair play to them. There was no pressure generated from them, though. We got no penalties from them, nor momentum forward. Yeah, it didn't provide us an attacking platform at all, really. Going into the lineouts, yeah, look, technically strong there. We nearly had 100% success. Clean ball from the top. Did a couple of mauls there. No leverage whatsoever. I think that was basically because our attack strategy just wasn't. It didn't include the lineouts in that. None of the possession there was converted into any territory threat, and that's not what you want to see. We want to see much more use of the mauls there, especially, as you would have heard me talking about Leinster. Pretty much every time we had a maul, we either pushed the opposition into a position where they were giving away penalties, or we were gaining ground enough that we could spread out our backs to make sure that we had a good attacking line there. But we just didn't do that in Ireland. And look, obviously you can't compare apples and oranges there with the likes of Leo Cullen's strategies and Andy Farrell's strategies. Well, I suppose Andrew Goodman. But yeah, look, it was not great. I think we definitely could have started to trust the forward pack there and just do a couple of strong phase plays through those lineouts, but we didn't. The big one here, defence. Yeah, look, we had a massive workload. We had 144 tackles, completely high effort, but completely low reward. The defensive volume was just sustained pressure. It was constantly under pressure. We won a couple of turnovers, but not fantastic. Like the thing that really killed us here was 38 tackles missed. 38 tackles missed. I think every single time the French team got the ball, there was at least 2 tackles missed. And it was so painful to watch. It's completely what killed us. We were falling off tackles back, forward and centre there. It was the whole team effort to miss those tackles. We had a 67% tackle success rate. And if you want to know how bad that is, if you watch the Wales game, you'd notice that Wales had only 29 missed tackles and they had a 77% tackle success rate, and they got trounced. So and they at one point they were down to 13 men. So that would give you have to compare us there. We'd 10% less tackle success rate than they did. It's incredible. It's incredible. Right, let's just forget about the defence here. Let's go into the attack. Maybe I like the misery. Look, it was contained. It was blunt. We've very little carried meters there as well, and even less defenders beaten. We had 23 defenders beaten, and we had 4 line breaks. 4. Oh, jeez, lads, I don't know. Completely minimal offloads there. Completely limited line breaks as well. I don't think we ever shifted away from having a proper attack structure there. And the reason we didn't was because we did 39 kicks Every time we got in a position, we were making ground. For some reason, the decision on the field from Goodman, I'm assuming, was to kick and chase. And that would have been all well and good if Stockdale was there to catch the ball. But it seemed like the only strategy for him was to slap it back, and that we hoped that we retain possession from that. He actually wasn't, it didn't look like he was ever attempting to properly catch the ball. And I don't know why that would be a strategy for us, because the French are always very good in the air as well. You know, you have Bielbieri there who can jump very high. He's 22. He's so fit. And yeah, I don't think we retained much of them. It was just incredible. It was incredible. Anyway, another mystery thing. I'm really trying to keep a positive spin on this. Look, discipline. I do think you have to commend the team on it. It was not a decisive factor against us. Our structural execution intensity was brilliant. We gave very few penalties away, bar one from Big Joe McCarthy. We'll talk about that later. No evidence there that discipline cost Ireland the game. Might have cost us a few points, like maybe a penalty or two there, but really, it wasn't that bad at all. I'm going to do these episodes as a Leinster player focus section. So we're going to go into some notable players, not able players, and then some neutral players if there is any. Starting off, I suppose, with notable players there, Thomas Clarkson. Look, he had a huge focus on scrum. Clarkson did his job. It was his second time out ever for Ireland. He had huge boots to fill. Fantastic. With Furlong missing, with Porter missing, he had the weight on his shoulders, literally. But look, fair play to him. He played a blinder, fair play to him. Jamie Osborne, arguably had a very good game, and arguably had also a very bad game. But I would say that maybe he was out of position a few times, but look, he had an okay game. He did his job. It is, again, huge boots to fill. The likes of having, a full back there, the Hugo Keenan, everyone knows he's going to come in the Six Nations to, to revitalise the squad, and he goes and breaks his thumb. So that has to be pressure on you, especially for the opening game in Stade de France against France. That's massive. But look, I think he had a decent game. And then Caelan Norris, he probably put the strongest effort in. He had a load of good tackles, a load of good carries. He had a crucial turnover inside our 5 metres there to stop one of the French plays as well. I think he did everything right except call for a plan B, but I don't think that was afforded to him, so I can't really fault him on that. And last but not least, in the notable players there for Leinster, I think Jack Conan. Jack Conan really stabilised the team. Jesus, he was forcing errors every time he had the ball on the French side, and I thought if we could just keep it with Doris, Ryan, and Jack Conan, we would actually crash through. We would be able to bring back that, those huge 15 phase plays where we were, we used to do, and, really bait down the defence there. But look, we just didn't do it. I think the attack style really let him down. So, it's an unfortunate thing. Going into the not able players, so notable, little pun there. Sorry, I'm very sorry. Look, Big Joe McCarthy, oh my God. I don't know. Joe, if you're listening, look, don't hate me. I don't know what happened to you. You got hauled off in the 49th minute. You gave away probably one of the silliest penalties I think we've ever seen coming in the side there. And I know I tried to rewatch that in the view of maybe he saw it being lifted, or maybe he saw he was bound so he could attack that. No, he wasn't. He was definitely playing the scrum half position there. In every angle it looked like that. So I don't know. He also barely made a dent in the French defence, so you probably understand why he was taken off in the 49th minute there. Josh van der Fleer, I'd say he's a not able player here because it's not that he had a bad game. It's because he didn't really have a game at all. He's pretty much invisible the entire game. And arguably, that's probably because the attack play that we were doing completely underutilised him. These attack phases that we're doing, trying to retain the ball there, that's not playing into, Josh van der Fleer's strengths there. It's not playing him in the position that he's in. So completely underutilised. Was completely anonymous during that game. I actually forgot. If I didn't see the red scrum cap flying around the pitch there in the background, I probably wouldn't have even known he was on the pitch. So look, not great there from that. I think we definitely need to utilise him. He's a fantastic player. He's World Player of the Year there a few times. So you have to focus on these things. And then finally, Jamison Gibson Park. And it might be a little bit controversial to put him in this bracket, but I think Goodman failed him, and because of that, he failed himself. I know he was given probably the most points in a lot of the articles you'll see, but I just don't think it was right. I don't think it was right to give him that just because his kicking was good. That his kicking was good, But after the fourth kick wasn't retained, you don't kick anymore. That's what you do. You go to plan B, you pivot. And either if he was the decision maker for that, then I have to blame him for it, sorry. And like, you know, he should have pivoted. And I'm just assuming here that Goodman just didn't give them a plan B, and he really thought that if we just focus on this, we didn't need one, and that we'd just win it. But look, we were just facilitating a failing system at high speed at that point. So, yeah, not great. Neutral player now, and it's going to be probably controversial here because if you look at the comments online, it was one way or the other. Well, she probably makes that right that he's a neutral player. Sam Prendergast. Yeah, Sam Prendergast. Look, I think he had a good game. Right, he fucked up twice, but he was under pressure. He shouldn't be, like, this crack is saying, oh, he's no good at tackling, or oh, look at him, he's after bringing the ball back over the try line there, and now that's after causing the penalty. Yeah, but he's a 10. He should never have been in the position where that was the option. Like that, we have forwards there for a reason to do that. And anyway, I think he did a great job. If we went on passing alone, fantastic job. If we went on, attack alone, fantastic job. If we went on kicking alone, fantastic job. If we went on the defence factor that he had, yeah, okay, pretty much shit. This is why I'm saying he's neutral. And unfortunately, he just panicked. His tackling was off as well. But he did, he did do that tap tackle on BLBRE, which should have saved that try if Stockdale was in the correct position there to tackle him again and didn't fall off the tackle. But I can't go without saying that Sam Prendergast did also have 7 missed tackles. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he had great moments and he had terrible moments, so therefore he is the neutral player here. Going into the referee there, Carl Dixon. Look, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think he probably had a good game in the most part. But there was a couple of calls there I just thought, what is going on? Like, you'd question the French broadcasting again. And I understand the TMO has all the angles, but they're also the referee's also looking at the big screen. He's been shown things on the big screen. He's going to be looking at it. And if he's not being shown at a neutral level some of the plays that were happening, I don't understand. Like, he completely, and I've watched it back and back again, he completely failed on that Movaka 72nd minute no arms tackle. That was a defining moment there. And did you know what they ended up doing? They focused on a Caelan Doris knock on later on. So anyway, I don't want to give out a bit of referee. That's not what we do here. I think we're better than that. But I think there was a couple of things there. A forward pass here, a missed no arms tackle there. I think those kind of things really just grind in the gears, especially when you have that kind of level of defeat coming onto us. In a line, yeah, look, we were outclassed. France were so strong. They figured out her plan. We had no plan B. And because of that, her attack let us down and her defence followed suit. Alright, so going into the match events here, folks. 13th minute, try for France. Louis Bielbieri. Yeah, the winger collected the possession near the halfway line there. Showcased absolutely individual brilliance there. Accelerated down the left touchline and, shrugged off a tap tackle. And then, Stockdale missed the first tackle or the last tackle on him there again. And perfect try for him, perfect start for France. That was converted there by Thomas Ramos to bring the score to France 7, Ireland 0. 22nd minute then, another try for France. Mathieu Jalibert. Yeah, look, Sam Prendergast had a huge error here. Pivoted back into his own try line and ended up with a 5-metre scrum. Jalibert attacked the blind side there, exploited space. Easy dive over, try there. Thankfully that was converted, misconversion there by Thomas Ramos, brought the score to 12-0. 28th minute then, penalty for France. Thomas Ramos put that over. Yeah, this was the Joe McCarthy one where he just went into the side of the ruck against was it Movaka, I think, and Jesus, it was bad. It was bad. Went in from the 22 as well, so an easy tap over for Thomas Ramos there, and they extended the lead to France 15, Ireland 0. 34th minute then, try for France again. It just never ended. Charles Olivon scored that one. So if you remember, Loch Miguel Goulard, who was the player of the match as well, he powered forward. He's so strong. He's such a good player. He actually plays in the Celtic Challenge as well, so you can't even say that he's coming up against high impact rugby all the time. Anyway, he delivered a fantastic inside offload to Olivon there, who just surged through and scored that as well, missed tackle. That was converted then by Thomas Ramos as well, brought France to 22-0, and that was the half-time score. France 22, Ireland 0. Woes weren't over there. 47-minute try for France. Louis Bielbieri once again. Yeah, a fantastic little kick over the top. by Antoine Dupont, little chip over. It was followed by, a completely amazing Thomas Ramos kick as he fell, kind of like on the volley, and it just bounced perfectly for Bielbiari down the left, and he sprinted down there for his second try. That was successfully converted by Thomas Ramos, brought the score to 29-0. And so we had to wait until the 59th minute until we made the scoreboard. Try for Ireland, Nick Timoney. Sam Prendergast released a very delayed pass to Stuart McCluskey, who went through a gap, and he just slipped an inside pass to Timoney, who crossed over the line. It was a fantastic play. I would have loved to see that more. Yeah, a lot more carries like that, but we didn't do it. That was converted then by Sam Prendergast. It was right underneath the post, so very easy one there. France 29, Ireland 7. 67 minute, we didn't have to wait too long. Try for Ireland, Michael Milne. Series of close range carries. Again, exactly what we should have been doing. The replacement loose head there, forces his way over, and the try was confirmed by TMO after a grounding check, which I don't understand why it was even done, because he saw it being grounded. That was then converted by Sam Prendergast, brought the score to 29-14. And then just at the very end, 81st minute, try for France, Theo Atisogbe. Final play, pretty much slick handling all the way down the right wing, created space for Atisogbe, and he finished acrobatically in the corner, sealed a dominant win and a bonus point win there for France. Converted then by Thomas Ramos, brought the score to 36-14, and that was the final score. France 36, Ireland 14. The man of the match there was Michael Goulard. He bullied the Irish pack. He completely dominated the gain line as well. He set up Olivon's try, and massive tackle count as well, and brought the core part of the set pieces for France there, especially in the mauls. So, where does that leave the Six Nations table positioning? We are second last. Yeah, not great. First round, I know it's the first round. Obviously, things are going to change there. But we are saved only by points. Only saved by points difference against Wales. So that is not the place you want to be. Just to go through the table as it stands there, England are in first with 5 points. Very dominant win over Wales. France are in second, separated only by points difference there with 5 points as well. Italy are in third with 4 points after a very fantastic win over Scotland. Probably one of the best games. The best last 16 minutes I think I've watched in a long time. Scotland in fourth with one losing bonus point there, but just enough to get ahead of us. Ireland are in fifth with no points, and Wales are in last with no points. Next game we have there is Ireland versus Italy, Saturday 14th of February. That's in the Aviva Stadium, and we're gonna want to come out there guns blazing and get some more points on that table. Alright folks, discussion point, no plan B. I think we fell into the one-trick pony trap. And we used to do this on the opposite side. It wasn't the kick play. There was a period of time where we had kick play, but we won't even talk about that. But we used to have this one-trick pony play where we would just do the smash over players non-stop, big phases, and then we didn't have a plan B there. We got to a period there where we actually started doing that, and then we'd pivot. And I think it was a pretty much good system for us that we had the plan B. But looking at the play yesterday, the plan A was high tempo, short tip passes over the top, and the Leinster style connectivity I'm assuming Andy Farrell wanted. Problem there was France pretty much figured out plan A rapidly and completely dismantled it. And so what did we do then? We just continued to tip over the top. We'd 14 over the top kick passes, and 3 of them were successful. 11 of them resulted in loss of meters or a turnover. So what was actually going on at half time when we've already done a serious amount of kick over the top passes, which were unsuccessful, to then come out in the second half and go, no, I think if we keep going now, we'll definitely get it this time. It was, it was great. There's a game that I used to play, and the main villain used to say do you know what the definition of insanity is? It's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting things to change. And that was exactly what it felt like. It just felt like every time we got a bit on the gain line, we decided, a kick over the top pass here is going to be the best way to do that, and just send Stockdale down and hope for the best. Not what we needed. Definitely not what we needed. There was no plan B there. Sam Prendergast, you could call him an island there. He's picked for his vision. We've seen him doing massive plays in Leinster. Very rarely there were ever a kick over the tops where he had to chase or anything like that happened. And when there was launch plays, there should have been a senior leadership there to be like, let's just tighten up. And maybe he was the decision person for that. If he was, then there was a problem there. If Doris was, obviously there's a problem there. Or maybe there was just no option given by Goodman and they had to just do that on the pitch. Yeah, I just don't understand why we kept doing it. Even inside our own 5 metre line there, we had no hope. We even started getting some gain line there when we started doing some phase play, some crash through phase play, getting the pods going. And I think at one point we were making some serious ground. We actually had got an advantage, moved forward again, and what happened? Gibson Park just decides, yeah, I'm going to kick this again. Let's do kick chase. Disaster. It didn't work for us. It went so poorly. We had a physical glass ceiling there. We had this relentless plan A that we were using, and we never pivoted to what we used to do, which was our previous glass ceiling, which was just this relentless 15-phase grind, and make the defence wear down there. We just didn't do that. It's always more tiring on a defensive point of view there if you're getting pummeled by the attack line. To get up, have to make another tackle, get up, make another tackle, get up, make another tackle, run around because the ball's been recycled through to the other side, get up, make another tackle. Like that's what we should have done. We should have focused on that as a plan B. We should have come out the traps at half time and said, right, that's enough for the kickovers. If you want to do one or two when we're under pressure, fair enough. But we're in an attacking position. You don't do that. You just stop it. And you'd wonder there for Goodman, what was his reasoning for not doing that? Was it the 6-week compression that we just knew we didn't want to tire the lads out? Was it all of our front row injuries? Although you could argue our front row wasn't that bad. Okay, fair enough. I know Lockman probably didn't have his best game, but we had the engine there. So, and speaking of engine, was it just Ireland didn't have the engine to play the long game? Is that what he was afraid of? But when these flashy plays fail, you have to pivot to brute force. You have to go back to the basics. We were okay in the scrums. You want to force the enemy team to have these issues on those ruck plays. Make them give us penalties. Go to the lineouts, which were solid as well. Go into the mauls and just push through. I don't know how. Even in the 60th minute, if you wanted to wait and keep doing this kick over the top to the 60th minute, yeah, fair enough. Wait until maybe Crowley was coming on there and he could have brought the new tactic in and said, right lads, this is what we're doing. But we didn't do that. So I don't understand. Yeah, you'd probably call it the Goodman launch failure or something there. We had stage 1 was the launch, did that very well. The very opening part of the game, we held them off for 11 minutes, not bad. We did stage 5 right. We got 2 tries. Arguably should have got a 3rd try. But we'd absolutely no idea what to do in the middle. The plan A failed in the middle. Let's keep going. Keep baiting away at that and hope it works. I don't understand. The Goodman tried to overcoach the perfect plan play at the expense of a dynamic field play there. I think he did. I think he's so rigid. I think the Irish system now is so rigid. We've no flow. If you look at the likes of the French play there, they were just quick line speed. They were coming up the rucks. They were passing out. They had players coming through the centre. They weren't even going around the sides. They were coming through the centre, smash play with some fast pods there and fast pick and goes. And they tore us apart. They absolutely tore us apart. The one fancy gameplay there where DuPont, chipped it over the top and Ramos kicked it without a volley. That was 1 in a million of those ones. Every other gameplay there was smashing through the middle, getting those meters and keeping us under pressure that we had to absorb into the middle and then fired out the side. And that worked. It worked so well for them. So, I don't know. I think if we don't have a plan B, you're losing games and you just become way easy to coach against. It's just a problem. All right, folks, look, reset next week. Italy versus Ireland at home. We're going to recycle players there. It's going to be a new game plan. Andrew Goodman, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. Don't hate me. But look, we need a new start. But Italy are looking very hungry, so we cannot let the guard down. But look, that's us for today. If you haven't already, please do follow us on social media. Be looking out for the preview episode whenever the team sheets come out. And I hope to see you all there on the social medias or on the YouTube comments there. And I'll give a few shout outs if there is. As always, thanks for listening, folks.